Hey guys, I'm Adam from the Utopia of Nerd News, and today we'll be doing Kick-Ass 2. Kick-Ass 2 is, I suppose, the sequel to Kick-Ass. It's violent, it's not for the kids, there's language, there's adult content, so all that out of the way. The first thing we got to talk about is the actors. We'll talk about the returning actors first. Firstly, Aaron Taylor Johnson, I believe is his name, for Kick-Ass. And I think he does just as well. I mean, he is the character. And he does a good job. He doesn't mess up. He's definitely bulked up since the last movie. He's in a lot better shape. But I suppose with the rumors of him playing in Avengers 2, The Age of Ultron, that's not too surprising that he's bulking up a bit. And the second one, and maybe the most important one, is Chloe Grace Moretz, who is Hit Girl. And she definitely is Hit Girl. But let me just talk about the big complaint people are having about it, or her, is the fact that she's aged up. It's been 3 years since the last movie was filmed. She's no longer the little tiny girl who's doing her flips and her over-the-top killing. She looks much older. I believe she's like 16, 17 in real life now, and she looks at... I have no problems with this because I have an understanding, but there's supposed to have been some time elapsed in between the movies as well, and it takes nothing away from me. I think she's my favorite part of the movie. I think she's Hit Girl just as much as Kick-Ass is Kick-Ass. She's awesome. Her lines, her character growth throughout the movie is something I particularly really enjoyed. I liked seeing her put in very different roles, letting her expand on her characters, which is another thing I heard some people complain there wasn't enough Hit Girl killing stuff. But I liked the way it was. The first movie was Hit Girl killing everything. Let's have some Hit Girl where, yeah, she does some awesome fight scenes or whatnot, but let's give her some more character depth than, oh, me and my daddy, we go kill people and we're the real heroes and blah blah blah. This is a post-Big Daddy world. Spoilers if you haven't seen Kick-Ass. And she has to deal with the death of her dad. She has to deal with everything that's happened. She has to kind of grow up as a person and as a character. And they do a fantastic job growing up her character, both with the acting and the directing parts of her character. It's really good, and I really enjoy it. Like I said, maybe my favorite parts of that movie were with her. It's nice. I really like the way they did her character. In fact, I love the way they did her character. The next one, the villain, Christopher Pratt, something like that. So many three-part names in this movie. Anyway, he is the motherfucker, and he is awesome. You can see his progression from the first movie to this movie. You get to kind of see and take his ride into his kind of spiral of darkness and growing as an evil character, where he finally hits the point where he snaps and he loses it, and he's... let me be honest here. I'm not a big fan of the actor. I don't think he's that great of an actor. He's what he is. He's a unique commodity. But this is definitely the best he's ever done in a role by a mile. You can see his evil. You can see the fact that he's out for nothing but blood. And he wants bad things to happen because he's pissed. And you can see that in it. And he does a terrific job with it. He really does. In fact, some people would even argue that he was the best part of the acting realm of the movie. And I can definitely see why. He's truly a demented being in this movie, and I absolutely loved it. The next one I want to talk about is Jim Carrey as Colonel Stars and Stripes. He's awesome. You know, he blends into the character where you're not like, hey, it's Jim Carrey. You know, it looks like he's having fun with the role. I know the crap that came out before the movie with him talking bad about it or whatever, and I don't know, that could have just been PR. Who knows? Anyway, I thought he was awesome when he was in it. He was you know, taking his bat, taking people out. He had his dog. It was awesome. I absolutely loved him. Now, the writing and the directing by Jeff Wadlow, both of them, in fact, I think he did a fantastic job of turning the graphic novel, which I haven't read, to be honest, into the movie adaptation. And I've heard a lot of people say that maybe the movie was going to be better than the comic book, at least for the second one. But I thought he did a great job. There was a lot of points in this movie. Particularly, I love the kind of monologue, the voiced monologue by Kick-Ass, at different points in the movie to kind of set things in perspective and to let you know kind of feelings and the goings-on and different things in the movie. I absolutely love the monologues in it. One of the kind of unique things brought to Kick-Ass 2 that wasn't in the first one, it was kind of good and kind of bad at the same time, was the addition of so many characters. This movie literally just throws them at you so many different heroes and villains, and they spend a lot of time trying to get you to know different new characters. And it's, like I said, a strength and a weakness. The entire first act of the movie really has nothing to do with Kick-Ass outside of the fact that he's Kick-Ass and he wants to be a superhero again, I guess. You know, they really don't even touch on his personal journey through the movie until the next phase of the movie, because they have so many characters, I won't even go into them all, thrown into the movie. I don't know, it's like I said, it's good and it's bad at the same time. It takes away from the established characters, and it takes a while for people to get to their real growth and their quests, but it's also kind of cool. Donald Faison, for instance, he does an awesome job of the movie, for those of you who've seen Scrubs, and I actually wish he had a bit more in the movie, but again, when you have such a large cast, it's hard to fit everybody into just a 2-hour movie. Some different things that I've heard were taken out of the comic books that were highly debated, and a lot of people were actually glad they were taken out. When I heard what they were, I was kind of glad about as well. I won't say what they are. I'll let you look them up if you really want to look them up. They're very dark things. In fact, this movie, it's dark. It's very dark. There's some comedy thrown in parts, but really it's polishing on top. This movie, I would even say, is questionably darker than a Christopher Nolan Batman film. It's very dark, and I definitely enjoyed a lot of it. A character named Mother Russia, one of the main villains of the movie, she can definitely hold her own. I particularly love the whole, like, her being the main supervillain as far as actual fighting goes. She takes it to tons of people in this movie. She's kind of the villain that they had to try and counteract Hit Girl's overpoweredness. And I just thought I would throw a shout out to that character because it's definitely a cool character who's like a cold, emotionless, old Soviet warrior person who's been in prison. And she's definitely a cool character who throws some balance to help the bad guys out. And I'll just say, when you're watching this movie, don't expect, I shouldn't say don't expect a laugh, because there's definitely some humor in it. But be prepared. This is, like I said, an emotional trip. It's a roller coaster of happy emotions, and no way are they going to do that. You've got to be kidding me. This is blowing my mind that they would go to this. As somebody who hasn't read the comic book, I should say, because you obviously know the twists, or at least the main ones. But there are definitely some for somebody who watched the movie as a first thing, as an original thing. Some parts of this movie I was like, no, you don't do that. No, don't do that. There's some parts, man, when stuff really gets bad and the motherfucker really starts get going, things get going, and they get going in a very serious and dark way fast. Definitely watch this movie. There's some things that maybe weren't as good as the first one. I think the action scenes definitely weren't as wow as the first one, where they had some of the coolest scenes in action movies that you can think of ever, maybe, with like Hit Girl going through the hallway and killing everybody, or the death of the final bad guy in the first one. Different things like that were just really memorable. And I don't think the action holds up to that par. Granted, that's a very high level to get to. But I think this one touches on a very emotional level, much like the first one did in certain parts of it. But I think maybe even to more of a degree, not a higher degree, but more throughout the movie. I loved it. I really loved this movie. I loved the seriousness. I loved the plot twists. There were points where I was literally like, I hate the motherfucker. I want him to die before he does something else that I absolutely hate. He gives you those kind of gut-wrenching moments where you just... That's what a villain needs, you know. You want to get that feeling of, I want to see this guy go down in a burning mess of stuff, you know. I want to see him die, and I want to see him done. So I think this movie fulfills exactly what it was going for. It's definitely worth going to see, even though I know this review is coming out slightly late. And stay tuned for after the credits. There is something there. It's not anything really great, to be honest. And they could have done without. In fact, I would have probably preferred them not throwing that in. But there is something after the credits if you haven't seen that. And that is my review. I will see you guys next time for another review, I suppose. See you next time, guys. Bye.